What is the worst US state to live in? I feel like OP's state has definitely been said lol. No one has mentioned my state yet, so I'm just gonna creep away and assume all is good. Is this the annual Mississippi bashing? Mississippi. I was only there for 8.5 months and I hated it. If the people in Mississippi could read, they would be very sad from this post. Whenever you see a map with Mississippi ranked 1, you know the map is talking about something awful. Like illiteracy or child mortality. Here in Arkansas we have a saying, thank God for Mississippi. Every time we're 49th, they're 50. And why is it Mississippi? My parents retired and sold their house in Alaska to move to Mississippi. They regret it and hate it there. But the house prices in Alaska skyrocketed. And they can't afford to move back. Anyway, I have learned the term sundown town since then. I am going to say, without ever having been there, that Mississippi is the last state on my list to ever live in. Mississippi or Oklahoma. Here in Louisiana we shrug and say at least we aren't Mississippi pretty regularly. Indiana sucks balls. It's the Mississippi of the North. I mean, from a purely objective standpoint, I would say Louisiana. According to the US News and World Report annual ranking, it's the worst or close to in almost every measurable way. It has ranked 50 out of 53 years in a row and ranks bottom 5 in over 2/3 of the categories. Consistently. The only category we score halfway decent in is fiscal stability. And that means jack shit when the rest of the economy sucks. Sure, you're living in near poverty and have the objectively worst growth opportunities in the country. But at least you probably won't get laid off. I lived in West Virginia for a couple years. That place is rough. There's still lots of houses up in the hollers with dirt floors and no indoor plumbing. In 2023, no flushing toilets. It's crazy. The drug situation is absolutely hollowing out the younger generations. Much of it is like a third world country. I live in Indiana now. And it ain't great. But it doesn't compare to WV, let me tell you. Probably Mississippi or Oklahoma. Always thought of those states having very high poverty and not much opportunity. West Virginia is not only backwater, but you can feel its various cities literally dying. As a Scottish person, I came here expecting the top comment to be Florida. Because of the notorious Florida Man news stories. But it seems like it's Mississippi. I guess I don't need to visit that state, thanks Reddit. Edit just to add. I've been to various parts of Florida many times. I almost got robbed outside a Walgreens in Tampa. That aside, I've always enjoyed the state. Shame about the governor though. Read through 80 of the thread without a single mention of my state. Feels good, man. I have lived in a few and by far Louisiana was the worst. Poor education, poverty, and terrible bureaucracy aside, the heat, mosquitoes, and roaches are horrible. If you leave your house in July or August, be prepared to breathe water because the humidity is unreal. The people are mostly unpleasant, probably BC of the weather. And the food is not nearly as good as all the locals claim it to be. Bleck. Mississippi. Know someone born and raised there, and she said she didn't know the truth about slavery until her 20s when she moved to NYC. She thought they were happy members of each family. It's bonkers. Missouri seems to be going downhill fast. Mississippi or West Virginia. Both are consistently ranked low for things like education and indicators of health like obesity. and CVD as well as other things. A friend of mine, who is a Pacific Islander, U.S. citizen, works as a project manager for a large medical device tech company and has done projects in most U.S. states. The only places he told the company to never send him again were Alexandria, Louisiana, and Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'd say it's a tie between LA and AR. Worst state? From a climate and weather point of view, Texas sucks right now lol. Nothing like a 107 to ruin your outdoor plans. For context, you know when you preheat your oven to 450 and open the door to insert a dish. That blast of hot air. Yeah. It feels like that when you step outside. Also, I'm not from Arizona, but those guys had a 115. F that. I recently visited Mississippi. If somebody from nowhere eastern Kentucky thinks your state is a shithole, that's saying something. Michigan. It's awful. Don't ever come here. Forget it exists. Go away. Depression. It depends how rich you are. Hawaii can be hit or miss with some people. I've met people who hate it here. Between the extreme cost of living and being surrounded by ocean, they develop some serious cases of island fever. But that falls on people's personal preferences. Now Mississippi on the other hand. They're almost always dead last on everything good. While much has been said about Mississippi and Louisiana, I do want to draw attention to the reservations and Appalachia. I have not seen poverty like that anywhere else in the country. It seems like I never hear anything nice about Alabama. Edit. It's nice to hear all the good things from people who actually live there. Alabama seems to be the butt of many jokes about inbreeding, ignorance, racism, etc. Perhaps you all need a major PR push. Depends on what you rank as most important. Some states have horrible housing costs, and others have horrible education. Meanwhile, some states have crime rates so high you might not be okay living there. Then there's state-specific laws you might not be okay with. Me personally, it's Hawaii. The cost to do anything would make living there hell. Ohio. Most of America's astronauts are from you. What is it about your state that makes people want to leave the planet? I'm just saying this as someone who doesn't even live in the US. But it seems that whenever the weather goes slightly too warm or slightly too cold in Texas, everyone loses power, and instead of trying to fix it, they blame Democrats while people are left to die. Aside from politics, geographically, I think Arizona is the worst state. Or Nevada. Very limited amounts of fresh water. The sun is brutal and can kill very easily due to lack of trees. I never want to live anywhere where you need to check your shoes for scorpions. The summers are regularly getting over 115 degrees. Tarantulas. Just absolutely no likelihood for survival without immense help from water pumped in from other states and intense air conditioning. Right now, Missouri. No contest child marriage is legal. Libraries have been defunded, and married and unmarried children are allowed to carry firearms without permit, supervision or oversight of any kind. Refreshing to not see New Jersey in the top spots. It's actually great to live here. Me being from a suburb of Philadelphia and had lived in Chicago, I'm glad nobody had mentioned NJ, PA, or EEL. Redditors typically hate on all of those states, especially NJ, my birth state. Anyone else who's about to comment STFUIDC, just keep your thoughts to yourself. I already know you don't.